And I know the Long Island medium uses spirit all the time for different descriptions, and I really don't do it that way in the sense of that each person that passes over after they're gone, after they're dead, it's their soul that I'm talking about, the soul that they take with them, the soul that makes them who they are. And that's the spirit that I'm talking about. That's the one that goes on, even when your body's dead, there's still that energy, there's still that soul, there's still that spirit out there. That's the conclusion I've come to. That after you're gone, what's left of you, the essence that makes you who you are, is what continues on. Can you have contact with these spirits? Yes, both physical and hearing them, seeing them, touching them touching you. It takes a lot of energy for these spirits to manifest themselves, or show themselves, or touch you. So there's a lot of things that go with it. And I'm sure that the people that got all the tech stuff can tell you about dead batteries and dying cameras and things that don't work, technology that doesn't work because the spirits drain off the energy. So there's that type of manifestation. So we're talking about people that have passed on that have stuck around. And since time moves differently, you can have spirits from different eras. Everything from last year to 100 years ago, all kind of occupying the same area. So that being said, the next thing anybody asks me is, well, how haunted is the areas around here? I think none's been better actually having someone sit on the bed next to him when the house is empty. One young man that I work with has told me stories that absolutely curl my hair. And being I've been doing this for about 10 years now, to get me shocked is something else. The house that he lived in, I would love to investigate, but it kind of freaks me out just thinking about doing it. It's an extremely active home. One thing that he told me about was that always scared him was they'd be in the bathroom doing their morning preparation, brushing the teeth, combing their hair, getting ready to go to school. They'd open the medicine cabinet, get something out, and they'd close it, and reflected behind them would be a woman standing there in 1800s dress. And it just freaked him out every time it happened. And she wouldn't say anything, she wouldn't do anything. She'd look at him a couple times, she would take a step, and then she'd be gone. He'd turn around and look, and there didn't be there. Just absolutely freaked him out. And he said it didn't happen every time, it didn't happen all the time. He said normally when I got to the point where I started to forget about it and dismiss it, she'd show up again. And so it's just one of those things that keeps you on your toes. He also had a family that would show up in the hallway outside of his door. And he woke up more than once because some noise had gotten his attention, and he'd wake up and look out, and there was a wife, her husband, and 2 kids standing outside his doorway. And that's happened on a regular basis, and at first he dismissed it. And then he got to the point where he made his dog sleep with him in the bed. And it happened about once, and the dog would not sleep in the bed anymore. And he's like, no, let me out of the house. You know, so this area is quite active. There are houses that are more active than others. I've done some research in the area. I've covered Mountain Bloom Cemetery. I've done stuff along the canal, in different homes in the area. My investigative team is based in Ottawa, so for them to come this way, it's a long drive. So we haven't done as much as I'd like, but we'd like to do some more in this area. And Sylvia and I work together on a number of occasions as well. And she does get very good EVPs, which is electronic voice, over her little gadgets. I'm not as good at that. But yeah, we worked together a few times. I hope to do some more in the future, and I will turn it over to Sylvia.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Oh, well, yes, I have been out with David on a couple of occasions on investigations. What I've been concentrating on lately is I've been doing a lot of investigation at the Peoria State Hospital, the abandoned insane asylum in Gardenville. As a matter of fact, I'm just putting out a book on it that is taking pre-orders for it right now. I was at a book signing with David about 2 years ago. Yeah, it was about 2 years ago, about this time. And we were at a bookstore in Peoria, and I mentioned that I was going to Bartonville because I was going to be at the Alpha Park Library in a couple of weeks for a book talk. And the manager of the bookstore heard us, and she said, "Oh, where are you going in Bartonville?" And I said, "Oh, the library." And she said, "Oh, because, man, that insane asylum, that is some crazy, crazy stuff." She said, there have been 2 books written on the history of the asylum. And she said, "We can't keep them on the shelves. They are so popular, we order them 100 at a time, and they sell out like hotcakes." So, and then every ghost story book about Illinois worth its salt will mention Bartonville as being extremely haunted. And the manager said, "Well, I don't think that anyone has ever collected all these stories that have come out of the asylum." And I said, "You know, I think you're right. I've never heard of a book like that." And she said, "You should write that book." I said, "By God, I will." So that's what I've been doing for about the past year and a half or so, is collecting people's experiences in the buildings that are left, people's experiences when the asylum was still open, people's experiences breaking into the Bowen building and sneaking around when they weren't supposed to, and other experiences that I've had at the Bowen building and at the Pollock building, the TV ward. Now, when you say Bartonville is haunted, I really mean that quite literally. The asylum was its own little community that took up the hilltop in Bartonville. There were 65 buildings originally, of which 13 still remain. And the spirits have just congregated to this place. It's like a perfect storm of reasons for this asylum to be haunted. The entire hilltop is made of limestone. Limestone High School is kind of a nod to this local geographical quirk, geological quirk rather. There is mention in the records of Fort Creve Coeur, a few miles away, historically, that the area that is now Bartonville had an Indian presence there. I was not able to tell whether it was a burial ground or just an Indian village, but there was a Native American presence on the hilltop. And investigators have collected the sound of drumming.
Spirits tend to investigate here. Case manager and lead investigator Jenny Butler. Your host, lead investigator Tom Wilson. Investigator is going to be with us tonight, Heidi here. Investigator and audio and video specialist, JC, the Love Machine here. When he retires, he wants to be a rodeo clown. Doug, the working man Colbro. Anna Aaron, photographer investigator, who's not with us tonight. And we have researcher and investigator Carla, the warrior Wolf. While listening to Michael Bolton, she makes grilled cheese. Investigator training Sean Amador. And this is our investigator training Ruben Arthur. Thank you very much. We'll stand up.
Okay. Needless to say, this is a very active location. We're going to play you some EVPs now that we captured here. Okay.
Stick my bags up.
Well, what do you think? We did not hear that. Not until we listened to our recorders later. So was it Shadow Man?
He probably intimidated Roy if he was still alive, and he wants to still do it. And
Dwight's gone over it, right?
So did you hear that?
What do you think it's at?
he probably intimidated Roy if he was still alive, and he wants to still do it. And
Dwight's gone over it, right? Here? No, it's in the middle.
alive, and he wants to still do it. And
Kind of like a yeah.
alive, and he wants to still do it. And
Okay, with this particular location that we went into, just like any location, we're listening to the stories of the people that's having the experiences. Okay, they talk about seeing a shadow person. Okay, and what we believe
experiences that they did, so validated that. And now I'll hand it over to Carla to give you a little history about the Black Moon Manor.
Just so you know, if you ever want to investigate or you're interested in that, you can go to places like this. They charge, of course, but you can go to open the general public.
Hi, everyone. When our group decided to head out to Black Moon Manor, I was actually really excited myself because prior to even joining Extreme Vision Paranormal, I had seen it featured on the show My Ghost Stories. Everyone familiar with that one? So, like you heard, we were out there just 2 weeks after the ghost adventures were, and just like them, we were given history of the location from the current owner and from the Black Moon Manor website. But still, we took it upon ourselves to go ahead and do a little bit more research. Now, most of the information we were given was completely on point. The land has been owned by the Estes family for 200 years. And the house is the oldest house in Buck Creek Township. I have to stress Buck Creek because I always say Buck Creek. So it is the oldest house there in Buck Creek. The house itself, now known as Black Moon Manor, was actually built by John Estes back in 1859, where he, his wife Sarah, and their 18 children lived. Unfortunately, many of those children did die at young ages. Another thing is there is a family burial plot on the land, and we did also go and investigate there. There's over 70 descendants of the Estes family buried there, ranging from infants and young children that died of natural causes to the elderly that died of natural causes. Did I say natural? I meant to say unnatural, sorry. Now, the current owner actually bought the house, which was abandoned at the time, to turn it into a Halloween haunted house attraction.
We watched the ghost hunting show, you know that it's, we use digital recorders and try to capture. What we're going to do now is we're going to play some EVPs that we did capture at Black Moon Manor.
What?
We're going to do a rewind and replay that. Okay, did anybody hear that? What do you think you heard? No?
Before the door slams.
Before the door slams.
Okay, what did you see? Anybody hear anything? Yeah, there's actually, you can hear people at the beginning, there's us talking, If you listen very softly, there's somebody whispering right before the bang. Did you hear the whispering?
Okay, we think it says come upstairs. We had all just come into the house and we were talking and we think we were being invited upstairs. One more time? We did catch a few other things. We're going to play those as well. Okay, did anybody hear anything before the door closed? No?
If you listen very carefully, this is what happened. Everybody went outside. There's nobody in the house. We left the front door open. If you listen, there's footsteps walking up to the front door, and then you hear the front door close.
The thing about this is that I leave my recorder, I leave one of my recorders in an area the whole night. This was in the front parlor. And you can hear footsteps walking up and the door closing. All the investigating team was outside by the fire pit, and we were all just standing there watching the door close with our mouths hanging open. It was crazy. Did you guys hear the thumps before that? There's nobody in the building at all. It's an empty building. Got another one?
This is actually, we use a device called the Ghost Box. Does anybody know what a Ghost Box is? What it actually is, it's a radio, pretty much that all it does is scan the radio frequencies. And it causes white noise for the spirits, I believe, can use that to actually communicate through us, gives them the energy to actually communicate.
If you're not used to listening to these, it's a little hard to pick up. We thought we picked up Get Out of Here. It's all open to interpretation. You know, we have meetings about this, and we all analyze our data very carefully, and I would say we probably throw out 97% of what we get. So we try to be careful what we call weird or paranormal or whatever, but usually when it's a session out of the ghost box, it's something that's, you can hear the ticking of the ghost box, but it's outside of it. And like I said, if you're not used to listening to it, it's a little hard to discern. However, we do have a couple others that will be pretty clear.